In my mind, authentic learning just kind of simply might use project-based learning, but it's really all about breaking down the artificial walls between school and the quote-unquote real world. Dana, as an author on that subject, and you have a great book again, how would you define and how did you become to realize the importance of authentic learning, and what does that mean for you?
Well, you know, we even in the title of my book, I talk about it's the real-world approach to project-based learning. So what I discovered in my own career path that I was doing project-based learning, however, it was a very simulated experience for the students, a let's pretend type of a scenario, even though it incorporated the elements of project-based learning. And what I found was, as I made that shift to creating a very open-ended, challenging investigation question for them that was linked to the community in some way, and that could be school, local, state, national, or even global community, then the students were able to draw those connections and made this meaningful purpose behind it, in which whatever answers they were coming up with, they were able to provide a justification for that, and then had a wider audience, some sort of an outside audience that was linked directly with that specific challenging investigation that I was giving them.
Okay, great. Tim, anything you might add to that definition and sort of your journey on the way to the importance of authentic learning?
No, I think it's a good definition, Drew and Dana, and I think many of us have traveled down that. It's, you know, you notice that all of us have been in teaching for about a decade, and the strategies that start to work for you as an initial teacher, you start to recognize that they don't have quite the traction that they used to, and there's a need to, as Dana said, break down the walls between the school and the community. And I think a need to recognize that students are breaking down those walls whether we do it for them or not. They're going out and pursuing learning in their community from a lot of different other sources beside the classroom, because the technology for them to be able to move about in the community is there in most cases. Even in a rural community where I live, my son has the ability to get out into the community and experience it, either digitally or through some public transit options, and they're taking advantage of that. Their knowledge that they have through digital devices empowers them to go out and explore on their own. And if we keep telling them they have to wait while we prepare them inside the school building, they're going to say, to heck with that, and do it on their own.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, and technology is a big piece of what I do, and it's really facilitated a lot of the connections and networking that we can do, and I would say that as students really start to leverage that and use that, it's really providing for a big paradigm shift. So, Ted, anything with that program that you work in, it definitely connects students to the real world and real world experiences. If you don't mind talking a little bit about how you came along from your years in teaching, how that became something that you valued.
I think there are two things in particular that come to mind. I think the first is the story. Traditionally what happens when we begin a program, we have students come in and they're excited about their athletic endeavors, they're excited about their social life, but they don't talk a whole lot about their academic life and what they're doing for the community as much. And when we have opportunities to have kids go through these programs, by the end of it, their goals and their life goals have ultimately changed because of the connections and the value and the empathy that they've really built through the process. I remember this one boy, he opened up our 2-week academy, and he's like, I'm a football player, I love football, this is what I do, I'm going to go to college and play football. And by the end of the 2 weeks in our academy, his new goal in life is, he flat out just said to the CEO of the company, my new goal now is to meet you at this business table 15 years from now doing business alongside of you. And that's pretty powerful. I think the second thing that I've really grown to appreciate is we ask teachers what we want this ideal graduate to be, and every time we ask them this, we get this empathy piece that kind of comes out. And authentic learning does a great job of building empathy and building understanding for other people because we have a real and relevant audience to what we're doing and why we're doing the learning that we're doing.